mate, welcome to another episode of Mulling in His Own Stupidity with me, Dave Mullen, the show where I try to find answers amongst the chaos and uncertainty of the modern world, all the while mulling in my own stupidity. What have I been mulling over this week? Well, wouldn't you like to know? This week I've been mulling over how one person, one teeny weeny, incy wincy, tiny whiny little person can actually have a massive, ginormous, gigantic, humongous impact on the world around them. There's a certain way of thinking that goes a little something like this. The universe is so big, there are so many people on this planet, and there's only one of me, and I'm so small. How can I possibly make a difference? And the answer that often comes back is, you can't. So what should I do instead? Enjoy yourself. In the drink. Enjoy yourself. Do what you want. Live and let live. You do you. You only live once. Life is short. You're just a tiny speck of dust and none of this really matters. What a relief. And maybe that's not such a bad way to live your life. I'm not saying that we shouldn't enjoy ourselves. We need to. I'm not saying that. Okay? And thinking like that certainly does relieve some pressure sometimes, which is very necessary. I'm also not saying that everyone thinks like this, and maybe nowadays with the omnipotent, omnipresent, all-seeing eye of the internet and people uploading their good deeds online, or at least being aware that whatever they do at any moment could be captured and put online, maybe the tide is beginning to turn somewhat. But I think it's fair to say that for a long time, for a lot of people, the overwhelming feeling was one of insignificance and impotence in the face of an ever-expanding and unpredictable world. As we became more and more aware of the span of time and the size of the universe, just the size of this planet that we live on, and the sheer number of people that we share it with, as we move more and more into cities where it's much easier to feel like a small cog in a giant, unfeeling, unflinching machine. As our jobs became disconnected from the communities in which we work, it became easier to think that what we do doesn't really matter, and therefore we should just enjoy ourselves for the short time we're here. But I do think there's another way of looking at it, and I think that if you look around you, it's not hard to see the massive impact that one person's life, their actions and the choices they make can have on the world around them. I'm a teacher in a primary school, and I often like to think of the classroom as a microcosm of society, a diverse group of people held together under some sort of vague structure, with the teacher ostensibly at the head, desperately trying to maintain some sort of order and control, guided by a set of values, rules and guidelines, rewarding good behavior, punishing bad behavior. Maybe there's only so far the analogy can go, but I do think it's interesting how the classroom dynamics can shift and be changed by not only the teacher, who obviously does have a big impact, but not just by the teacher, not only by the context, the school, the town, city it's in, but also by the characters and personalities that make up the class. The individual children with all their idiosyncrasies contribute to create the whole. And there are some classes, maybe even whole year groups, where there are just enough children doing the wrong thing or children displaying challenging behaviors to tip the balance. And then everyone gets influenced. All of a sudden, children who in another year group would be absolutely fine, doing the right thing, following the rules, trying their best, in this class or year group, they start acting out because the balance is off center. The center of gravity, which should be located somewhere around the teacher, slowly starts to shift and everything starts spinning in a slightly unusual way. This can happen. It can happen. I've worked in classes like this as a teaching assistant, and let me tell you, it is not fun for anyone. It's not good for the teacher, it's not good for the school. To be honest, the children don't even like it. It's not good for them. And if you want to carry on the analogy, I suspect it wouldn't be fun to live in a society like that either. Of course, this is not an argument against democracy or children's rights or anything like that, but you do need a structure. You need some sort of structure in place, and generally it's better for the people at the top in positions of legitimate authority, which in this case, or in most cases in a classroom, should be the teacher, to be making the decisions, setting the direction, rewarding good behavior, punishing bad behavior, etc. Otherwise, things might just start spinning. There are also interesting cases where one child is so chaotic, so off the wall, so out there, disobedient, defiant, rude, all the things you don't want a child to be. One child who is so badly behaved that they single-handedly tip the balance in an entire class. And this affects everybody, the teacher, the TAs, the other children in the class, everyone gets impacted, and for the most part negatively. And you can tell what a big impact this one child has on the rare occasions that they're not present, because the difference in the room for everyone is incredible. And I suppose this is what got me thinking. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we often feel powerless. We feel like we can't do anything to make the world a better place. We think unless we're rich, famous, we can't have any impact on the world. We see all these bad things happening on the news every day, and we feel like, how can I possibly do anything to change this? Well, look at the impact just one child can have. One child behaving badly, doing the wrong thing for whatever reason, can have such a big impact on everyone around them. A whole class full of other children, teachers, TAs, maybe even managers at the school, maybe even all the people that those people go home to after school or after work. Everyone gets impacted, and like I said, for the most part, this impact isn't necessarily positive, but it also reflexively, by contrast, shows the impact that all those children doing the right thing can have. The other day, my teaching assistant wasn't in class. She wasn't there for the whole day, and I noticed it. Of course I did. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I noticed it, but what I mean is I felt it. I felt the difference. When something is working properly, we don't notice it as much as when it breaks. When someone is doing the right thing day in, day out, it's much easier to take them for granted, maybe to not notice them compared to someone who is doing the wrong thing or not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You notice a negation, an absence, maybe a negative more than you notice a positive sometimes. But through that negative, you can see how important the positive action can be. So just doing the right thing every day, even if it might not look or feel like it's having much impact, just showing up and doing roughly, vaguely the right thing every single day might be the most significant, the most important thing you do in your entire life. Multiply that impact by all the days that you're alive, and all the people that you come across, all the people that come across your path in your entire life, and you might just, even without noticing it, change the world for the better. In fact, I'm sure you will.